Welcome back to Inside Access Control. I'm very excited today to have two people come join and talk about an announcement that went out today. Some of you might have seen OpenPath's recent launch, if you would, on these great partnerships that they've done with a bunch of companies and really around the sort of wellness and safety within the industry. So very excited, James and Mickey. Thank you very much for taking the time to do this. Why don't we kick it off, though? First, why don't you introduce yourself and your companies, and then we'll jump into all the great news.
Thanks, Lee. James Siegel here, president, co-founder of OpenPath. You all know us from access control industry as the guys who brought mobile hands-free access to bear in the market with a cloud-based system. We are really excited about the partnership we have with Equity Office and happy to introduce Mickey Ward from EQ Office. Mickey?
Hi, Mickey Ward, VP of Real Estate Technology for EQ Office.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both again for joining. So, James, why don't we jump into, tell me about the announcement. What did you all release today?
So today we announced a number of different exciting new features and capabilities around safety and wellness. As everyone knows, getting back to work in this post-COVID world really involves taking a very sensitive look at how tenants move back into the workplace, how occupiers really think about ingress and egress from a safety perspective, and how landlords and property managers really kind of make sure that they have flexible solutions in place for their tenants and their customers, as well as their own staff. So we've rolled out a host of new partnerships and capabilities to allow a lot of the new safety technology to have enforceable teeth. For instance, if you use a technology that includes an attestation form, one of those health checks that you do before you're allowed to go into work, you can connect it now to APIs from OpenPath that allow you to actually enable the door to be locked or unlocked if somebody's healthy or not healthy or has filled out a form or hasn't. The same goes for all the cool stuff that we do around occupancy management. So occupancy management technologies that typically count the capacity and manage the capacity of a room haven't had the ability to enforce those limits before. They just sort of set an alert or set an alarm. Now they can actually kick off our API call and they can actually lock the door so that the next person is not allowed in until someone leaves the room. We also have touchless elevator solutions, a host of contact tracing and hands-free access capabilities that we're rolling out. And we're excited to be deployed and deploying within the portfolio of EQ Office. And so Mickey has been a partner with OpenPath for quite a while now, well before COVID, looking at technology in the marketplace, evaluating what the right moves are for EQ as they think about upgrading their portfolio to include a lot of the new prop tech technology that's out there. And so this is also an opportunity to talk about what they're doing.
Actually, yeah. So, Mickey, if you don't mind, why was this important to you all, and what were you looking for from a partnership like this?
EQ Office, we have already been investing in future-proofing with new technologies like OpenPath, and like James said, we've had a partnership with OpenPath for over a year now, and I think with COVID, it just brought forward to us, the importance of safety and wellness. And it kind of put these technologies that we're already working out in the middle of, front and center of what we needed to escalate and get done sooner.
Yeah, it's definitely, we've been seeing some of these trends where, if you talk about like touchless, it used to be called frictionless and that, but things have accelerated through COVID, and I think they're going to last for a long time. The whole safety side from the wellness end. On top of that, I'm really encouraged by the partnership side. I think that's the important part too, is that our industry for a long, long time has been really about the bits and the bytes and the technology end of it. And really what I read in the release that you all did was going across all of these different partners and really come together to tell a really complete story that I have to believe, Mickey, for you, that ability to go to sort of one place but get many different things, it has to help the acceleration of the adoption. It just makes you actually feel better, if you would, on the fact that you're making the right decisions for the wellness and the health of the people that interact in your offices and call those, places of work.
Absolutely.
So yeah, great. So James, if you tell me a little bit more about the partnerships. Give an idea of what they mean, and you talked a lot about different areas on the health side. But can you speak to a little bit more on what the different type of partnerships are?
Let me call out a few. So one of our partners in the occupancy management space is called VergeSense. What they do is they actually count the number of people that enter a given room. They use this cool device that's installed there in the room and allows them to track that. Now, when they connect to our APIs, what will happen is, if you have an occupancy limit that you set for that room of 20 people, as soon as the 20th person enters, the doors go to a locked status, and now that 21st person can't come in. Alternatively, you could kind of set like a red, yellow, green, where, okay, 20 is the limit. We're going to flex to 22 or 23. That's kind of the yellow. And then, it goes to red after 24, so that you have some flexibility. What's kind of interesting about combining the occupancy management tracking with the access control is that we only track credentialed users, right? That you have a credential, you credential in, but you could open the door and let someone tailgate behind you, and our visitors don't necessarily get tracked. And so by combining technology from multiple vendors, occupancy management, or even video analytics companies like Cameo that track people using their analytics engine, you can really get better control of who's in your space, how they're using that space, and to set capacity limits, which are so important for social distancing.
I think one of the things that's really cool right now is as our, each state is opening up, this is going to be more and more important, which, I just literally bugged you about this week. As each of our buildings are in different states and they're in different phases of opening, having, OpenPath is going to be instrumental with us getting our gyms and, other amenities up and running. Just being able to control when people can go into buildings where we have, or into, like fitness centers and amenities where we have limitations on how many people can be in the room, that's key. And so we're actually literally trying to accelerate where we're putting this right now so that we can get ready for that phase 2, phase 3.
Do you all feel, so there's a sort of a belief through conversations I've been having, how much of this comes down to somewhat of a trust factor on picking the right partner, because the sort of the pressure of having to make a decision where before you kind of had time, right? Now there's sort of like this powder keg that's being created because people want to get back to work and they have to do that. So when you look at the partnership side, how important is that in the decision-making process that you're taking right now?
I think it's hugely important. I think I'm so fortunate that I had, my role at EQ was kind of to look at new technology and figure out what was real and what was vaporware, and, figure out which partners we really wanted to invest in. And I think, I'm fortunate to have, started this relationship with OpenPath before this happened. So now the decision is much easier for me. I'm not, there's 100 people on the market right now reaching out to us every day. And for me, I was able to say, hey, I've already been investing all this time in this, not only understanding the technology, but the relationship and the partner. So I feel really confident that, we're making good decisions where, some people might not have the luxury of being able to have started so long ago.
Yeah. And on that, and that's great. And thank you. On that, the decision-making process that you all had before when you were selecting your access control partner compared to now, I got to believe before, I don't know what the attributes were that you were making decisions on, but can you speak a little bit, how does that changed to what you're looking for out of someone who historically, if you would, our industry was about, key cards and readers and, keeping bad people out, to now it's very different. So can you speak a little bit to the decision-making process now and what matters?
Yeah, so before, our key initiatives were around giving a better customer or, tenant experience. So, can they come into the garage, from the garage to their suite, having, seamless access? That was huge. No more days of having 10 different key, cards or keys to get, from your parking garage into your own suite. So that's where our focus was before. And now layered on top of that, having a touchless access option is huge. Having, integrated elevators is huge. Having the ability to, monitor how many people are in, our amenities or, in our spaces, that's huge. So I think we went from, just having a really good tenant experience now to really focusing on safety and, well-being of our tenants.
Yeah. So this is the exciting part. If you take a terrible situation like COVID, but you look at the positive side of what's coming out of this for the industry, is really it's going beyond just the safety side of keeping bad people out, which is historically what it's been about, and really the idea of bringing all this data together to create a value creation that historically we've kind of all talked about, but it's never been really executed and flexed into spaces and being used. And this is really forcing that to actually happen. So the value beyond the locking and unlocking of what our industry is doing is really being showcased in this partnership. And then Mickey, with what you all are doing of actually implementing it. So kudos to you all for doing that. If people want to find out more information, James, Mickey, where can they go to find out not only about the program itself, but your companies?
Openpath.com was a pretty good place to go.
That's a good start.
And I assume eqoffice.com.
Yes, exactly.
All right, good. Hey, I didn't say they were going to be hard questions. They're sometimes intended to be softball, so I appreciate it. Well, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity for both of you to do
Thanks.
this. So
Nice to meet you.
You as well. Bye-bye.
Bye.